Thanks for joining us for CBN's On the Home Front, where we highlight what the men and women of America's military do to defend our country. I'm Mark Martin. Navy SEAL Eddie Gallagher has retired from the Navy. Gallagher was accused of misconduct on the battlefield in Iraq and at risk of losing his status as a Navy SEAL when President Trump stepped in.
With Eddie Gallagher, you know that story very well. They wanted to take his pin away, and I said, no, you're not going to take it away. He was a great fighter.
Gallagher was acquitted in the deadly stabbing of a teenage ISIS fighter in Iraq in 2017, but found guilty of posing inappropriately with a corpse and sentenced to 4 months' time served. The president repeatedly intervened and publicly slammed the Navy for starting the process for a review that could have stripped Gallagher of his rank and full benefits. The fallout of Gallagher's case led to the ousting of Navy Secretary Richard Spencer.
Somebody has their back, and it's called the President of the U.S., okay?
Gallagher was ultimately able to keep his rank and trident and retired from the service on November 30th. China says it will be suspending U.S. Navy visits to Hong Kong. This after Congress passed legislation supporting human rights in the semi-autonomous territory. Along with suspending visits by official U.S. military ships and aircraft, China would sanction several pro-democracy organizations. China's Foreign Ministry spokeswoman said that the Hong Kong Human Rights and Democracy Act seriously interfered in Hong Kong's internal affairs and appeared to back up China's threats that the U.S. would bear the cost of the decision. The U.S. Navy aircraft carrier USS Ronald Reagan was the last to visit Hong Kong in November of 2018. But while visits to Hong Kong are out of the picture, U.S. pilots in South Korea are continuing their work. The U-2 pilots reach an average altitude of 70,000 feet to perform reconnaissance missions.
The main component is keeping a pilot safe. The U-2 is a plane that flies up really high. Some of the hazards with flying up so high are DCS, which is decompression sickness, and hypoxia.
The purpose behind the suit is to protect them from the negative effects of high altitude. It's like every single part of the suit is specifically made to protect them for when they go up in altitude.
The process is the pilot comes in here, we pre-flight the suit before they fly, and then after.
My favorite part probably about my job is hooking up the pilots, because when you know the why behind our job, why we do the things we do, when we hook them up, it makes you realize how important our job actually is. So I take a lot of pride in that. They're trusting us with their lives to hook them up into the aircraft and make sure that we do everything 100% correct. Every single thing that we do, step by step, making sure that it's right. Because when they go up there, if they have to eject or anything, it's up to us to make sure that everything was done right. So the bond between the pilot and the technician is probably the most important part of the job.
Highlight of the day, probably integrating the pilot, making sure they pressurize how they're supposed to, and then it's a famous aircraft. There's a lot of people who know about it. Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Switching gears, as the holiday season is well underway, many U.S. troops overseas are missing their families. But this year on Thanksgiving, some of them got a special visit. President Donald Trump paid a surprise visit to Afghanistan, where he participated in serving Thanksgiving dinner to U.S. troops at Bagram Airfield. Trump was traveling with a small group of aides, including his acting chief of staff, press secretary, and national security advisor. Trump spent more than 2.5 hours on the ground, serving turkey, thanking the troops, and sitting down with Afghan President Ashraf Ghani. During his visit, Trump said the U.S. and Taliban have been engaged in peace talks and insisted the Taliban want to make a deal after heavy U.S. fire in recent months.
We're doing a tremendous job, and as you know, a big part of that job is ISIS certainly the biggest, and Al-Qaeda, and we've got them down in very low numbers. We'll have that totally taken care of in a very short period of time, and we'll see what happens. The Taliban wants to make a deal. We'll see if they want to make a deal. It's got to be a real deal, but we'll see. But they want to make a deal. And they only want to make a deal because you're doing a great job. That's the only reason they want to make a deal.
About 12,000 U.S. forces remain in Afghanistan. For Master Chief Personnel Specialist Rin Hockenberry, her mission in Afghanistan isn't over. Hockenberry was on a site visit at the Marshal Fahim training facility in Afghanistan in 2014 when shots were fired. After a 2-minute firefight, Hockenberry had been shot 5 times. 15 others were also injured or killed. She shares her story.
I heard it on that gurney. Return to theater, unlikely. Return to active duty, unlikely. Return to operational status, unlikely. Because of good people, I got here. I don't want my last deployment to be the deployment that was taken from me. I want to deploy, at least one last time. On August 5th, 2014, I was serving as the senior enlisted leader for Combined Security Transition Command in Afghanistan. We were on a site visit to a training facility for the Afghan National Army. And one of the Afghan soldiers turned his weapon and started shooting into my unit. 15 U.S. and coalition service members were injured. 1 was killed. You know, I was injured pretty severely, but I'll be honest, I didn't realize it. I had been in the hospital about 2 weeks, and they were trying to decide whether they were going to amputate. And I said, so 2 weeks, I get to go back? And he's like, I don't think you're grasping this. I remember one day lying in a hospital bed, and they had come in and said, it's time for PT, and I said, no, I'm not going to PT. And the physical therapist is like, no, you got to get up. And I said, no, my leg hurts. I'm not going. And this HM3 popped in. And he said, hey, senior, are you going to PT? And I was like, yep. I was just getting up. Because there's this HM3 looking at me. There's this young sailor expecting me to get up and do the right thing. And then I remember a couple days later in physical therapy, I had fallen. I was trying to walk and I kept falling. And they're like, try it again. And I said, no, I'm done. I think at that point I don't care if I never walk. I don't care, I'm done. It hurts. And HM3, here he is again. He's like, hey, you're doing great. You getting up? And I said, yep, I'm getting up. And that was a huge driving factor. Because it's very easy to give up and quit when things get hard, but somebody is relying on you. And if you show somebody that you can get through, maybe they start thinking they can get through. If I can convince a sailor that is going through some stuff to get off the couch and reach out for help, then I've done my duty. I want my sailors to know that it's okay to fail. It's okay to have a bad day, and it's okay to fall over and over and over, but you need to just keep getting back up.
Meanwhile, here in the U.S. and Illinois, one man is working to give back to America's service members this holiday season. Personal trainer Jared Games says his passion lies in training some of the men and women who serve our country.
My responsibility as a coach is to make sure they're doing everything right. Once they join the military and then they're deployed overseas, I feel like I still have a responsibility as a coach. I still want to see these guys succeed. I want to see these guys, get taken care of.
Games' help is not limited to the gym. 3 years ago, he started sending care packages to the soldiers he had trained before they were deployed. The boxes include items like beef jerky, decks of cards, socks, board games, and flavored water packets. Stuff, Games says, is a rare commodity for soldiers.
I know Thanksgiving is hard. Christmas time is even harder for them. So if they can have a huge box that not only goes to my guys that I coach, but they're all good dudes, they're also going to give it to their other guys that are in their platoon.
Games said local support has grown, and now members of the community and local businesses have helped with financial donations for extra care packages. After the break, remember an important day that has always lived in infamy and one soldier's story.
On October 1st, 1961, history was made when a tiny station began transmitting the first signals of the Christian Broadcasting Network.
CBN, the Christian Broadcasting Network.
And now, A new era has begun with the all-new CBN News Channel.
Just moments ago, the Iron Dome intercepted an incoming rocket right on the Gaza border.
Administering in this area, spiritual warfare is definitely involved.
A 24/7 news network, bringing you the news you want from a source you can trust.
In Kenya, 40% of the medical services are actually provided by these Christian hospitals.
Let's talk about the economy.
Believers here are joining together to win people to Jesus Christ.
All your favorite shows now in one place. Go to cbnnewschannel.com to find out how to get the CBN News Channel on your TV all day, every day. CBN News. Life is better with a good night's sleep. Get your free DVD or booklet of Protect Your Sleep today.
Life. It's meant to be lived fully. Jesus said it. I came to give you life. Life to the fullest. Life in your family. Life in your finances. Life in your body, mind, and spirit. Life in your everyday. At CBN.com, we're taking what Jesus said seriously. We're here to help you discover life. Life. Live it fully. CBN.com.
Welcome back to On the Home Front. December 7th marks the anniversary of Japan's attack on U.S. naval base Pearl Harbor in 1941 and America's involvement in World War II. John Jack O'Brien served in the Army Air Corps during the war. He shares his experiences starting from the bombing of Pearl Harbor to the surrender of Japan.
My name is John P. O'Brien, normally called Jack. I was in the Air Force from 1943. I retired out of the reserves in 1980 with the rank of major. My dad and I and brother used to go to New York City to Sunday afternoon hockey games. It wasn't the big pros. I think it was the names were the Rovers. During the game, all of a sudden the lights went out, and then a spotlight hit the flag, and a voice came over. The Japanese have just raided Pearl Harbor. All military report back to your base immediately. I'll never forget, it was absolute quiet for a matter of minutes. It was just a shock. I mean, it was a shock. August 3rd, 1943, I left Newark, New Jersey on a train. At the time, I didn't know exactly where I was going to have to get off. Anyway, at Greensboro, North Carolina is where the base was, and that's where we started our training. From there, we had to go to Nashville, Tennessee to get notified of whether we're going to pilot school, navigator, or bombardier. I wound up as a navigator. From there, I was assigned to the 27th Troop Carrier Squadron. Our squadron was at Chongqing, China. There we stayed with the squadron until we were transferred to Liangshan, which is the middle of China in the middle of nowhere. Our mission primarily was supplying the troops with everything: ammunition, food, pigs, cattle. But that was the primary deal, although we did drop paratroopers also. In China, we didn't have any radar. We had to actually navigate by the seat of your pants. I could look at the color of the river and the direction and know about where I was. See, there were no cities or anything, no towns. no roads that you could follow.
Ceremony marking the complete and formal surrender of Japan. In the Bay of Tokyo itself, the United States destroyer Buchanan comes alongside.
Shortly after the war ended, the 27th got orders to fly up to Mukta, Manchuria to free some PWs. We had no real good maps of Eastern China, and what I used to navigate was a page out of a school book. The day we left, we were told who we were going to be picking up. General Wainwright from Bataan. He was a soldier's general. He fought with them, and when MacArthur left him in Bataan, everybody realized what was happening. At that time, the Japanese had Bataan just about won. And the soldiers under his command loved him. A lot of them, well, in fact, most of them, had not seen him. They kept Wainwright up in northern Manchuria, and the Russians brought him down to us. And when they saw him, I mean, that was a tearjerker. Yeah, they really loved him. And we got Wainwright back in good hands, and I had a chance to have him sit at the navigator table and have some rations with me. And those poor souls never did get enough food. Now, the surprising thing I found out 2 years after the war, I received a letter from the OSS headquarters in China, thanking us for supplying air for all their missions. I didn't know that. I guess the CO did, but I didn't. None of the fellows did. So that was quite a mission. It was an honor to have him sitting at my navigator table. So I did that. Yeah.
Up next, one military chaplain's inspirational message for service members everywhere.
Daddy?
Yeah, buddy?
How many nickels are in a dollar?
There are 20 nickels in a dollar.
How do birds fly? Does milk really make my bones stronger?
Yeah.
Daddy, when we die, will we go to heaven?
Do you have the answer to life's biggest question? Call the 700 Club. We'll help you find answers to the important questions life brings your way.
Watch breaking news, in-depth exclusive stories and programs from health to entertainment you won't find anywhere else. The CBN News Channel, a perspective you can trust. Enjoy credible news reporting from around the world. Discover inspiring programs and stories of hope, all in one place from a Christian perspective. The CBN News Channel, a perspective you can trust. To watch the CBN News Channel, download the app or visit cbnnewschannel.com.
Hello, I'm Dr. David Perlmutter, board-certified neurologist and #1 New York Times best-selling author. Wouldn't it be great to boost your energy, eliminate brain fog, and even reverse brain disease? Well, you can, and I'm going to show you how, along with some of the world's most well-respected brain experts, in this DVD, Protect Your Brain.
Get Protect Your Brain, a free DVD only from the Christian Broadcasting Network, featuring experts on the cutting edge of neuroscience and brain health.
No matter how many times you've failed in the past, you really can do this.
In Protect Your Brain, you'll discover simple strategies to keep your brain young and healthy. Improve your memory. Discover the gut-brain connection. In Protect Your Brain. Get your free copy at cbn.com or call 1-800-700-7000.
If you want to improve the quality of your life, get the DVD Protect Your Brain and get it today.
You're watching On the Home Front. Christian military chaplains across all branches work daily to inspire service members and give them faith, hope, and the love of Jesus. At Air University, they make sure each week to remind students how they can serve above and beyond. Here's this week's inspirational message.
Hi everyone, this is Chaplain Burson, and today's thought is on making room. Most of us remember that on December 7th, 1941, Japan launched a surprise attack on Pearl Harbor. But just a few hours later, on December 8th, the Japanese also attacked the Philippines. After hiding for 3 weeks, 2nd Lieutenant Ruby Bradley, a U.S. Army surgical nurse, was captured by Japanese soldiers. She spent the rest of the war as a POW in 3 different camps, and in all of them, the conditions were terrible. She was only given 1 cup of rice a day to eat, but still, she gave part of her food to the hungry children who were in the camp with her. As her weight dropped to only 84 pounds, she used the extra room in her uniform to smuggle more food for the children, and even surgical equipment to perform operations on sick prisoners. During her internment, she assisted with 230 surgeries and delivered 13 babies. Bradley was freed in 1945, but she continued to serve as a nurse. In 1950, she was serving in Korea during the Chinese counteroffensive, and during the evacuation, she refused to board the plane to safety until she first ensured that there was room for all of the wounded, even though she was surrounded by 100,000 Chinese soldiers. Finally, she was the very last person to get on the plane just as an ambulance exploded behind her. Colonel Bradley retired as one of the most decorated women in United States military history, including earning the Red Cross's Florence Nightingale Medal and the title Angel in Fatigues from her fellow soldiers. Seeing all of those costs that Colonel Bradley paid to care for others, like losing weight or losing her seat on the plane that could save her life, those are reminders of why so many of us fear making sacrifices for others. There's a real cost to it. But in The Paradox of Generosity, Christian Smith and Hilary Davidson show through research a truth that has been in the writings of philosophers, wise men, religious leaders throughout the ages. And you'll find it in the story of Ruby Bradley, that in giving, we receive. And in grasping, we actually lose. When we make room for others, we also make room for more joy and more love in our own lives. As Proverbs 11:25 says, a generous person will prosper. Whoever refreshes others will be refreshed. Blessings this week.
Don't go anywhere. We'll be back right after the break.
If you want to be an attorney with a passion for serving people and for excellence, Regent University needs to be high on your list.
Regent's award-winning law school doesn't just create lawyers. We create leaders, judges, prosecutors and defense lawyers, civil litigators, and leaders in government. Ready to become a purpose-driven, practice-ready lawyer? To start your rewarding career, complete the online application, submit your transcripts, and take the law school admissions test by July.
Nutrition, exercise, essential oils, weight loss, and more. It's Healthy Living with Lori Johnson.
Talk about what's in this.
Join CBN health reporter Lori Johnson to get the latest information from today's top health experts.
This is fantastic.
Find out what you need to know to live a healthier life. Watch Healthy Living, Tuesday night at 9:30.
Woohoo! Hi, Superbook fans. Here's something else you'll love. It's the new Superbook Bible app. It's packed with games, activities, and Superbook episodes that you can watch for free. Oh no! There's trivia, a fun daily devotional, and answers to your Bible questions. Plus, an easy-to-understand Bible the whole family will enjoy. You can even create your own Superbook character. Ta-da! Whoa!
Falls, man. Come with...
Sorry, pardon me. Sorry, excuse me. Ouch!
Are you getting this?
Earn super points to win daily prizes, too. And so much more! Time to get back to my adventures. See you soon. It's the new Superbook Bible app. Free downloads on iTunes, Google Play, and Amazon.
Thanks for staying with On the Home Front. Chief Master Sergeant Robinson Joseph and Chief Master Sergeant Lynette Joseph have collectively served 52 years in the U.S. Air Force. Through 21 duty stations and 6 deployments, the two have learned a lot about what it means to be a dual military couple and how to make it work.
First time, and I said,
this
after
is,
52 years.
This is Chief Master Sergeant Lynette Joseph. You could introduce me. I'll make it easy for you.
Okay.
You ready?
We're glad that you have joined us for today's ceremony, and we honor not one, but 2 great senior enlisted leaders.
Hey, I'm Chief Master Sergeant Robinson Joseph.
I am Chief Master Sergeant Lynette Joseph.
And we're finally retiring after
52 years of service.
Oh, it's time. It's time. You know, I wish I had 10 years, 30 years. I kicking and screaming. I wanted to do more, but hey, it's my 30th year, so I have to go.
You know, it's different when you're a meal-to-meal couple. It's like sometimes, you know, we have vision of what our career is going to be like, and when you put us together, it's a lot more challenging than what it looks like, you know, in your plan.
Couples get competitive. There's no competition between you and your spouse. You know, if my wife outranked me, cool. If I rank my wife, cool. That's the same tape. It's still the name tape on the right. That's what we share the same.
We discovered early in our career that neither one of us had to sacrifice. There were some times that he was going to shine and I was playing a supporting role, and there was times where I was going to shine and he was going to support me.
There's no way you could lead by yourself. You got to have that support system. I mean, being meal-to-meal chiefs, I think that's a blessing for us, for not only for us personally, but also for us professionally, because, you know, I get a chance to go home and hash out ideas with another chief.
We always found a solution to kind of talking to each other, I think. It didn't matter if we were deployed or one that stays and one overseas, we always got on the phone and kind of talked it out. And
instead of making a decision in a vacuum, I made it with a vacuum, broom, mop, or whatever with her. So you just got to admit the shortcomings that you got, and that way you can rely on your wingman here, you know, to help you out.
Tell him when he made chief, you're like, I'm coming for you. Next year.
Yes, I was like, I'm right behind you.
I'm like, yes, Sergeant.
He's like, walk to my left.
Walk to my right.
That's all for today, but you can find more of our exclusive news coverage at cbnnews.com. Hope you'll join us next time. Have a great day.